haunting hour is at hand. Ghostly haunting since time began. Raw side paranormal seeks the truth, looking for some kind of real proof. Creepy floorboards and eerie dark mist. Grab your camera and document this. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the wrong side. A slamming door causes a fright. A shadowed hand appears in sight. Grab your REM pods and your K2s, or anything else you can use. No time to run, no time to hide. We are catching all of this on the raw side. The icy air touches your neck. You feel like screaming, but you stay in check. All's rising up to take the magical flight. You can't believe what's happening tonight. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side. Don't run, don't try to hide. We are catching this all on the raw side.
Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome to the raw side. I hope everybody is doing well. And what a gorgeous day we had here. Oh my God, it was almost 80 degrees. I almost fainted. Open up the pool. I'm ready. Let's see who has joined us today. Let's see Pomp. Hello, Mr. Pomp. He was number one. You were first. You win the cookie. Hey, Susan, sweetie, how are you doing? Hello, Gwen. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Miss Caroline, how are you? Lovely, lovely. Hope everybody pops in really quick because we've got a really great guest. Hopefully everybody did well. And I like everybody to welcome Shawn Ellis from External X Wolfpack Paranormal. And put your hands together, guys, and welcome him to the stage. Hello, Sir Shawn. How are you?
It's fine. How are you?
I'm holding on there, enjoying the nice sunshine and warm weather while it lasts. It's usually short-lived this early in the season.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've
my
had
goodness.
some stormy weather today. We definitely
I
had some
heard.
stormy
Well,
weather today.
Where are you located again?
I'm in Illinois. I'm in Galesburg, Illinois.
Yeah, so this is the season for you guys, isn't it? For that craziness, all of the bad storms.
Yeah, it's gonna go up and down here for the next month or so, and then hopefully it'll level out. So,
right. Hopefully everybody will be safe, and you don't have to worry. I remember, we had that once happen when I lived in Missouri years and years ago. And the sky, I never seen anything like it. The sky turned pitch black. And I was at a friend's house, and my husband came and got us. He says, "Come on, we're going. If we're going to die together at home." We was scary. Thank God it hit out towards the farmland, so nobody got injured. But I never seen anything like it.
yeah, it's strange weather for sure. Heck, last Sunday I got up and there was snow on the ground, and I was like, we just had a storm Saturday night too. That was a bad thunderstorm. It went through, and get up Sunday morning and there's snow on the ground. I'm like, yeah, what? Okay.
Yeah. Welcome to spring. I guess everybody's got their weird, wacky times when the weather is just really strange. I know, and of course, it doesn't.
Yeah, most stuff.
Our environment's changing. People, bitch about the global warming thing. Yeah, it has something to do with it, but I just think Mother Nature's changing things. So it's something we're just going to have to adjust to, apparently. So,
Yeah,
Shawn, I'm
sounds
going
like
to
it.
ask you. Yeah, what I normally do is before we jump into the paranormal chit chat and what you do, I always like to ask my guests who you are as a person and how you got into the paranormal.
Well, my name's Shawn Ellis. I am the founder and owner of the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal, and I am the host of the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal podcast as well that we have on every Sunday. I have a team of 5. We go out and investigate residents or places where we're called to. I've taken some shaman classes for it's almost pushing 2 years now. And I've had a Reiki mentor. That's a Reiki master mentor. She helps me out when I need it. I met her when I was on my previous team. And I like to help people understand what's going on in their houses and, help them debunk the things that's in there. And if it's something else, help them with that as well and be able to deal with it. So.
Fantastic. What was your first paranormal experience?
I would have to say just right after I got baptized when I was 21, I was going through a bunch of tough times and stuff. And my grandma passed away, and I actually seen a vision of her come into the church I used to go to every day. And she was young. She wasn't the way she was when she died. She was young when she walked in. She had no cane. She looked like she was about the age when her and my grandpa got married, because that's what the picture reminded me of, is when I seen her when she come through the door and in the vision. And she sat down next to me in the pew, and she says, "Don't you ever worry about a thing. You're going to make it." And ever since then, I've had some strange dreams off and on. I've had premonitions to the point that it kind of scared me, because I used to go to church all the time, every Sunday. And then I got to a point I just kind of quit going there for a while. And because they kept getting stronger and stronger. And I kind of pushed it away, ended up getting married. I was married for 11 and a half years. And then after my divorce, I started kind of getting back into the paranormal stuff because I always believed in it to begin with. But up until about 7 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I kind of got a calling to come back stronger than I was. And I ended up joining the team. And like I said, I ended up meeting a Reiki master that was my mentor, and she taught me a lot of great stuff, and it just kept going from there.
Fantastic. Okay, my next question is what do you believe that we transition into once we leave the physical body? What do you believe we become?
I think we become energy. Our body is energy as it is. We can feel the frequencies around us if we concentrate and realize what's around us. But our body contains a lot of energies. Like our skin, what we have now, holds the energy in and the frequencies and everything according to that. And once we die, we become energy. And I've seen incidents where some people say go to the light and you're supposedly reborn again. I've heard things about if you turn around and face the universe, you become part of the universe and all that's there. So I guess it depends on what you actually want to believe in when it comes to that point in time. But it's definitely energy.
Right. Do you believe that your religious beliefs reflect on what you do as a paranormal investigator?
I'm actually kind of open to, how do I say that, beliefs. I was brought up Catholic, and my thoughts of that has changed throughout the years. I believe there is a higher power. I believe in things the way they should be, but I think a lot of things are missing that needs to be told, and nobody wants to talk about them. And I think that's part of the paranormal as well. And I think that's why a lot of us are in the paranormal field, because we want answers to certain things that is not being told to us. We want to know
Right.
the answers of what happens after life, and when death comes upon us, and what happens after that. And we've seen, at least I have personally seen, a lot of strange stuff since I've been in the field as well. So some can be explained and debunked, and some you have to rack up as being a spiritual or an energy being that's around.
Okay. When you are conducting your investigations, um, first of all, do you, if it's even if it's a residential or if it's an abandoned or whatever, do you do a dry run through to check out the building as far as to see if there's any kind of electricity still on, or anybody hanging out in the building? This way, so when you go back, the noises of the building and what to expect.
I normally show up earlier before the team does, and I'll have a talk with the owners and stuff a little bit to try to get the feel of what's going on and what they think's going on. And like you said, I'll walk around, check to make sure it's safe for my team, because I don't want them walking into something that's unexpected as well, especially on locations that are outdoors that we're going to in the dark. I don't want them to walk up on anybody that's, how do I say, straggling or straying out there or camping out there that we don't know about.
Right.
And not know about them, because I do have like 3 females on my team, and there's only one guy on the team besides me. So I kind of watch out for them. It's kind of my, my job is that, to make sure my team's protected. So that's definitely what I do. As for energy, yeah, I go around to make sure there's no high energy, like coming off the furnaces and stuff like that, or smelling of a gas or carbon monoxide and stuff like that as well. So yeah, definitely, for sure.
Wonderful. Hey, welcome, Callie. Al, let's see, who did I forget? I already said hi to Carla and everything in the chat, but hello, Miss Carla. And Gwen, careful, you're driving, so pay attention to the road, not us. And so when you do go in there, yeah, we don't need to hear any bad news.
Yeah,
Shawn
Gwen's
needs
the
you for the next show.
Well, she is the producer of All Access Network Television. So yeah,
right.
So.
And don't forget, guys, you ask questions, just put them in the chat and I will put them up so that Shawn can see them. So when you go in, how do you conduct your investigations? Do you use a lot of equipment? Do you just go in simple and plain? Have you researched anything about the place that you're going to before you even start?
I actually like going in not knowing a lot, but now since I'm the lead of the team, I got to know a little bit of something, because of the fact of the safety of my team, for one, and the people that are there. But otherwise, after we conduct our investigation and bring in our stuff and figure out what's going on, then I want to know what they know. I want to know what we can compare. If we come up with names that they've come up with, and etc. Because I don't want it to be, how do I say, contaminated with something that I've heard. I want to know what I'm hearing is legit, and then being able to compare it to them. And if not, what's the difference? What's the links after that? What's the puzzle pieces that go with that? And why are we getting something a little different than what they are? But yeah, I normally take in a REM pod Sometimes I take in a Tesla coil. I've got cat balls, EVP recorder. But like I said, that's normally the things that we've taken, and even laser grids as well.
Now, how much do you depend on that equipment, or is it just pretty much something that can help you out, but you don't let it lead your investigation?
Normally, I rely on my gut more. I'm more of an empath. I have that feeling that's around, you know, if it's a deep, heavy feeling, if it's bad, if it's good. I rely more on my gut. The equipment's more kind of a verification that it's actually there for other people in my book, because I can actually feel it and sense it if it's in the house.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I base more things on my gut and my instinct, and then what my teammates have come up with when they're out, because we'll normally split up, and then we'll put together what we find and compare names and stuff. Like I said, if we're in different locations and whatnot, but yeah, it's I do more on my gut than equipment. But like I said, the equipment's more of letting people actually see something that they can't feel or they see themselves.
Right. So pretty much it's just like a work aid instead of, relying strictly on what comes out, because I mean, it's still an experiment, as far, in my opinion. So I'm the same way. I rather trust my gut feeling and 100% more than in any kind of electronic gizmo. Welcome, Cynthia. How are you, darling? So yeah, I'm glad that's how you feel, because it leaves the door open. Susan has a question. What do you think about the phone apps? Hello, Wisdom.
I actually use Necromancer app. It's actually pretty good. I like it. Or I should say Necrophonics. I like that. And I use the SLS. And you also got to make sure, how do I say, it's not picking up something it shouldn't. If you look at it, you can tell if there's actually something there, or if it's actually picking up parts of the chair and forming a person or whatever. But it's best if nothing's around at all, because if nothing's around and then it shows up, that's a different story. But you got to watch what it's doing too. You got to kind of debunk what's actually you're seeing there as well. But technically, those are about the only two we'll actually use for apps.
Right. Yes, because I've tested out the SLS and I haven't found it very reliable. Seeing that it was basically designed for gaming, so it's going to pick up any kind of form to give it a human structure. But I don't,
and like I said,
don't beat people up for using it, because it's still an experiment. You never know; you might catch something. I've always, when I've used,
but you also
said, "Well, hey, go ahead."
Oh yeah, like I said, you also got to be smart enough to know if it's actually pick up that object, trying to make it that, or etc. So you got to kind of use your common sense to see, hey, what's this and what's that.
Well, I always try to put it to the test. If I do see something and I'll say, okay, we'll move to the left or move to the right, or, come towards me and see if there's any kind of reaction to me asking it to move. So I pretty much put it to the test. But all right, Al says, what is that Randonautica app? Oh, don't use that.
Randonautica app?
Yeah, that's
never heard of it.
Yeah, Al, yeah, don't ever use that. That was that could be very dangerous. And it's a treasure hunting application, and a lot of people have gotten hurt using that because there'd be people waiting for them at a certain spot, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Hello, Sally. How are you? Yeah, and then Wayne says, yeah, you could. Well, no, you could catch virus, because it's just, it's really not a good app to play around with. Pop says, yeah, it's just another gimmick that people believe in. I have heard, that people have used it, You go to all these different, because it takes you to all these different locations. You're supposed to say what you're looking for at the beginning of the whole game, and it's supposed to bring you to it. Well, unfortunately, a lot of people have ended up getting into, meeting a gang of people on the other end, and they get robbed or carjacked or, yeah, it's bad news. Stay away from that one. So, okay, you say that you used the Tesla coil. Explain to us how that is used and why you use it.
When we're trying to communicate with a spirit and we just don't feel there's a lot of energy there, but we know that's there, we'll take out the Tesla coil, we'll turn it on, and we'll fill the room with energy. And we'll let it run for a little while and build up enough energy in that room, and then we'll shut it down and come back in to see if the spirit actually has enough to communicate, because then we'll stick the REM pod out there in the middle of the floor, and then we can ask yes or no questions compared to the lights we assign it to, and see if we get better answers than what we were getting when it was just barely blinking or flickering, because some spirits may not have a lot of energy depending on what's going on in that side, and we don't know sometimes what's going on that side. So to give them a little energy, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty neat. Hey, Ryan, welcome. Of course, now everybody's floating around here where they're saying that it could be an interdimensional thing happening between our world and the next, and that's how that spirit may be able to come through, like portals. What are your feelings on that kind of a subject?
Portals, yes, I believe in portals. I've seen them happen. I've seen them between two mirrors before, and things floating between them as well. That's not a good thing when you got two mirrors facing each other. I normally tell clients or the people that I'm with, if they see that, we need to cover one up, separate them, and definitely close them down. There's a method of closing them down. We can use a crystal to close them down, or we can use the energy that we were taught by my Reiki master, in order to shut them down. So that actually helps a lot too. And if you go up to that mirror and you can actually put your hand on it, you can actually feel energy. And sometimes you can feel that push. If it's pushing out, that means coming in. If you feel like it's pulling, that's a doorway in. And
right.
we've found some that we've shut down like that. So, but yeah, I do believe there is dimensional things, as more than one, especially in one dimension.
Very interesting. Let's see, who am I missing that just popped in? Ryan, I said hello, right? Didn't I? Oh, Jamie. Hi, Jamie. I'm sorry. My bad. I knew you were there somewhere. As far as now, explain. You said you have a Reiki master that you confide in for assistance. Explain to us, what is Reiki and how do you use it with paranormal investigations?
For me, using Reiki is the use of energy. I can take my hands and focus and concentrate and feel a pocket of energy. I can take my hand and go like this, and if I concentrate, I'll feel that energy around it. You can also take it and go and use it on your body. Like if somebody's got an injury, like when we've been taught in class, you can have somebody lay on a table, and if you're focusing on them and you got your hands above them, you can take your energy and you can focus, and you can actually feel that there's something wrong in certain locations. Like somebody's broken a leg or broken an arm, you can actually feel it because the energy has got that clump in certain areas. That's interesting to do as well, but it's focusing your energy, being able to use it for what's around you.
Right.
I was also blessed with the fact of having the Menaki rights, which are 9 rights that help ground me to everything around me. So, you know how when you walk into a room and you got that deep, heavy feeling that it's like, okay, something's wrong.
Right.
When after I've had my Menaki rights, to me that don't feel the same as it would to somebody else, because I've got myself grounded with that energy around me, and it helps me a lot when it comes up to things like that. But the Reiki master has to give you those rights, and I was blessed with those. She gave those to me when we used to work together. But
That's pretty interesting.
yeah, Reiki is dealing with energy and the things around you, and it can be very interesting on how you use it, because you can use it for healing yourself. If you meditate right, you can do that, which like I said, here the last few days, I haven't been feeling very good. So that's something I need to start doing again, is back to my meditation to help with my neck and stuff as well.
Right.
But
oh,
yeah,
welcome, Kat.
Reiki is dealing with energy and power, and it's cool on the ways you can use it.
Really? That is interesting. I might have to have somebody come on and explain the whole thing to us. Because yeah, I don't know very much about it. During now you say that it helps with healing and everything. Are you able to take energy from people?
I can shift energy around. Yeah, I can shift energy around. I've had teammates that's been on the field with me out there that said their energy is kind of getting a little low, and I would convert their energy and divert it to another way so that they're feeling a little better and not so weak. Because we do have other clairvoyants and empaths on the team that I've been showing how to use some of the energy, work with them, and how to manipulate it. So it helps a lot, because like I said, some people can go into a room and you have that overwhelming feeling like something's like bad. And like I said, it's bad energy in there.
Right.
And to me, like I said, it doesn't affect me as bad as it would do some others, but I'm what they call pretty well grounded and balanced. And I'm thankful that I'm able to do things like that, because we have ran into some pretty strange things when we've been out on investigations.
Pompey has a question. If two mirrors make a portal, are houses of mirrors super active? That's a good question.
I would say so. I would definitely say so.
That'd
be definitely an interesting concept to deal with. I mean, but yeah, I would say if they're facing each other, especially more than one from different angles, anything's possible. Yes.
That was a great question, Pop, because nobody, you're not really thinking about it. Usually you see a house of mirrors, you're thinking fun house, but yeah, who knows what's going on in there with all those mirrors. That's pretty cool. Ryan says, I've read the Celestine Prophecy book and how to use your energy played with Reiki. Some very interesting stuff. I'd like to actually get a Reiki master on to discuss and explain to us how this works and how people can use it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would
it's cool. Everybody's capable of doing it, and everybody learns differently. So everybody's energy is also different, and it's how you perceive it as well. So that's kind of the best way I can explain it without going into super details with some things. But it's energy based and being able to work with energy, and it does help you a lot.
So, because the reason I ask is that, like Ryan says, shared energy has to be between two people who are in a welcoming way. I asked the question because when my husband will be sitting in a chair or something, and then I take my hands and I put them on him, and if I rub them back and forth, he yells at me to stop because he says I'm sucking the energy out of him, and he feels exhausted. So that's why I was wondering if anybody could explain why I'm able to do that to him.
Okay, so here's some things that some people can do that I've freaked out people with, and it's something you can try here and see if you can do it. But I always do it to people I go up to that has questions sometimes, and some people can feel it and some people can't. But what I tell them to do is take your left hand and put it right in front of your face, like this, and take your right hand and do this. Blow into your left hand and tell me what you feel in your right.
Oh, you want me to do it now?
Seriously. Yeah.
So you put my right hand on my face.
Some people can. No, your left hand in front of your face.
Left hand And then you put the right hand out.
and then now blow in your hand and tell me what you feel in your fingers on your right hand.
I feel air.
Yep. You're transferring air from one location to the other. That's how you manipulate the energy.
Oh. I do. I feel
Your
the
left
air on
hand
my
is a
fingers.
receiver. Your left hand is a receiver. Your right hand is the one that pushes out the energy. So that's how you manipulate the energy around. That's how people make energy balls. When you see people doing this, if you take your hands and go back and forth like this,
right,
and go slow. So try this and do this with your hands and go back and forth real slow and just kind of concentrate. You got that magnetic feeling in between your hands.
I feel heat.
Kind of a pull. Sometimes it's heat. Sometimes it's cold. Sometimes you get that
I feel it.
magnetic pull.
Yeah.
Yep. And you got magnetic pull when you start doing this and twisting your hands a little bit. You can feel it between your fingers.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
That's how that's part of Reiki. That's some people I can have stand 50. Some people I can have stand like 10 or 15 feet away, and I can take my finger like this, and they can feel me right in the palm of their hand.
Interesting. So yeah, we're gonna have to dive into that one, guys, because that's odd feeling. But I've done that to my husband for years, and he always complains that you're sucking the life out of me, and I can feel it. Actually, I could feel like my body is being replenished. I could feel it coming out of him. It's really strange. But I just think, well, maybe it's just because you're tired. But and my hands are always hot. The palms of my hands are always very warm or hot.
Sometimes if you concentrate, you can actually make them feel cold or hot, depending on who I go up to. Some people say, oh, that's cold. Some people will say it's hot. But then if they take their hand and we'll start doing this, they can feel that energy between our fingers. And if I do my fingers like this, they can feel me touching their hand and I'm not even close to it. They can feel me bouncing energy off their fingers.
Interesting. Pompey has a question. So why has nobody investigated a house of mirrors? That we know of, Pom.
If I had a chance to, I would. I had a chance to, I would. I've never seen a totally full house of mirrors, but if I had a chance, I'd go.
Well, I think what he's talking like is like if you go to like carnivals and stuff and they have the house of mirrors, the maze of mirrors and stuff like that. I think that's pretty much what he's talking about. I've never seen anybody investigate something like that. That would be interesting, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree. If you had an opportunity, I would do it.
Yeah. So let's see. Good question. So what I'm going to have to do, is just have to, maybe even your Reiki master might be willing to come on and explain everything to us. Because there others. So that we could learn something, because that's what my channel is mostly about learning and experiences, and it's not just the paranormal; it's everything that surrounds the paranormal as well. And the only way we can find stuff out is if we ask questions. So that's pretty much what it's about. Now you say you do both residential and commercial or abandoned investigations.
Yeah, so far I've done more residential than I have anything else. I've done big places like Broadhead Manor. I've been there. I've been to but I can't remember the name of it now. It's in by Peoria. I've been there. It was part of Zeller's. They made it into a hospital. It was a hospital back in the day. But they've changed the name of it, and I can't remember what the name of it is. I have it on a flyer that's hanging upstairs in one of my rooms. But yeah, I've done that. I went to the Keysburg, and I did a Masonic temple or a lodge. That was really interesting. I've done that. Let's see. I've been to Indiana at Bell Mansion. That was definitely interesting. When I was there, I was with Mandy from Ghost Sisters and Pam Harris, Lori Bragg, and one of my former team members. we were there all investigating that night, and we actually got to play poker with the spirits. We had a REM pod sitting between the four of us, and we were actually playing poker, and each one of us had a light pointing at us, and we would ask who would win or who was going to win. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Is the fact is it picked every time the person that would win. It would flash that light next to the person that light was sitting next to who would win. So we actually got to experience that. That was kind of cool. And that happened at Bell Mansion in Indiana.
Pretty neat. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome. Actually, Jonathan, you just missed. We were talking about Reiki and energy and all of that. And I do believe, don't you? You're involved in that, or your wife is. We'd like to get some of your input into that as well. Now, as far as a residential, when you do a residential, what is your procedure when you take on a client?
First thing I always asked him, I said, do you want us to be able to do a live, or do you want us to keep it private? And I'll always respect that, and I'll have them sign off if they want us, if we can do a live or not. But first and most foremost is to make sure we make what's going on there them happy, as in the fact of finding out what's going on. I'll give you an example. When I started out this new team that I have right now, we had an older lady. She was in her 80s, and she was hearing things in the house and etc. And she called us in, and having a new team, a bunch of rookies at the time, there's like, oh, we're going to go live. We're going to go do this. We're going to go do that. And I was like, and I got there early, and I got to talking to her, and she was so nervous that she called us, and she's like so nervous that we were going to find something bad in her house. And I was like, hey guys, I said, you know what? We're not going to film nothing tonight. We're going to do it just for our own personal use. And what we find is going to keep between us at the time. And we went in there, we did our investigation, and we were finding some of the things she was talking about. And we had the voice box on, and we got it to talking, and she heard it. The older lady heard it. And my team was in the back room, and she could hear them talking to what was going on back there. And she said, can I go back there and see this for myself? And I said, sure. So she set her walker aside, and I picked her car, and we walked back to the back room, and she goes, hello. And it actually said hi back right off the bat. And she's like, wow, that's kind of strange. And she says, do you like living here? And they go, yeah. And then they would start saying devil, this and that and stuff like that. But we already figured out it was two kids, two little children in there, because the way they were acting, they were trying to scare us. And when we come across things like that, we know it's like, okay, we're trying to scare you just to get rid of you. We don't want you here. Right. And then they started joking with her, and they said she was old. And she goes, I'm not old. And she started laughing with them and stuff. And we got a few other questions, and she heard them. And she said, okay. So then I walked her back to the table in the kitchen, and she says, Shawn, what are you going to do with those two spirits? And I said, well, we can get them to leave, or they can stay here. And she goes, well, if they're children, they can stay here as long as they don't cause any problems. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And she says, well, what would you do? And I said, well, one thing I would do, I said, acknowledge them. Let them know they're here, because you said you hear the pots and the pans or something rattling, or the cabinet doors, or you feel somebody tugging on the back of your leg or whatever. I said, just say, hey, hi, how you doing? Because they're probably looking at her like they're a grandma, because she's an older lady. And I said another thing, I said, just throughout the day or something, I said, pick up a book and just read it out loud. Right. Or play some music. And she goes, okay, so you're not going to do anything with them? I said, well, it's up to you. And she goes, well, they can stay. But she says, I'm going to leave your number right here on my refrigerator. If something happens, you're going to be the first one I call. And I started laughing. I said, okay, that's fine.
You're the rescue squad.
So by the So anyway, by the end of the night, she was happy with what we found and how things were. And she gave everybody a hug and stuff. And about a week later, I went and knocked on her door. And I said, hey, I said, it's me. And she let me in and we sat there and talked. She goes, Shawn, she says, I'm so happy that you guys came to help me out, because she said I was actually going to sell my house. This was really freaking me out. She says, but now I feel comfortable here and I'm glad that things are settled down and now I know what's going on here. So I'm not scared anymore.
Right.
And, you know, for being me and having a team for the first time myself, being the lead, that was one of the best feelings ever. Like I said, being able to go in there and help her do what she, you know, needed to know and help her figure out what was going on. And, but yeah, we definitely go in and help the people for sure. And we never charge anybody either. We always do it, you know, for the knowledge and understanding what's going on.
Right. That's great. Hey, Face the Ace, welcome. Hey, Julie. Hi, how are you, sweetie? But when you begin, do you make them do a mental health check before you agree to go into the home?
Well, I will sit there and I will actually talk with them. I'll probably talk to them for about 45 minutes. I definitely want to know if they're, off the deep end once in a while, or they're making something up, or they're just wanting attention for sure. And kind of go from there. And if I think they're kind of pulling our leg a little bit, then I'll let the team know. It's like, hey, you know, keep an eye out. Definitely know this, and if we think they're doing this or that, then we'll just pack up and leave, you know. But
okay.
If it gets down to the point that we think it's other things, I will definitely sit down and talk with them afterwards and say, hey, is there anything else going on that we definitely need to know, because we're not coming up with anything.
Right.
So,
hi, Cree, welcome. Don't forget, guys, to ask any questions that you want. Yeah, and then when you're doing a residential, are you guys in it for the long term, or is it when you're done and you move on?
We always leave our number so they can get in contact with us, and then we always let them know before we leave what we think it was going on and point out things and what could be, and let them know exactly what we found. And they're always more than welcome to call any one of us that was on the team at the time and talk to them as well. And if they need us to come back, we will. So far, we've done pretty well. We've taken care of the situation the first time we've been there. On the old team that I used to be on, we went to a location 3 times before, because the little boy at the time was, was a light source. They kept coming to him. Things kept coming to him all the time. And once we finally figured that out, we took care of that issue. And we haven't had a problem with that there yet either. But that one was one of the bizarre cases that we did have, because that little boy was 12 years old, and I seen him pick up a good-sized riding mower, the front end of it, and slam it about 13 times. Just pick it up and bounce it like a basketball. A good-sized rider, and he's only 12 years old at the time. And we took care of that situation that night, and we haven't had any issues since. So that was actually one of the interesting ones.
Yeah, very interesting. Do you believe it's just could it be just evil spirits, or do you believe that there are demons? Hi, Wayne.
Demons are rare. Demons I classify as being very rare. I would say they're very rare. I would say it's more evil spirits and just people, like I said, if you're bad in life, you're going to be bad after life. If you're good, you'll be good. Unless you find redemption in the way, whatever you believe in. But yeah, mostly I would say it's just an evil spirit or an entity, but demons are rare. Right. I'd never classify anything as a demon.
Okay. Pop says, question, being a team that does residential investigations, what's your opinion of the Foreman brothers? He called them the Foreskin brothers.
Honestly, I've never heard of them.
Never heard of him. Yeah, Pop, he's on the other side of the fence. He doesn't well, with that question, they were actually busted, debunked, and found to be falsifying their evidence. How do you feel that
Okay.
the fakers affect the paranormal field?
Uh, I think it's terrible. If you have to do things to get a rating, just stop doing it. I mean, when I go out on an investigation, you'll see me go live, and what you see is what you get. I never go in and tamper with it. I never go edit anything. What you see is what actually happens. And I just don't believe in faking evidence. I'm in it for the knowledge and trying to understand what's going on and helping everybody. And I just think that's terrible when they got to do stuff like that. It's just not worth it.
Right. So that's probably why you haven't heard of of the Foreman Brothers or
Yeah,
Paranormal
I don't
Nightmare.
watch a lot.
You're right. So, guys, he don't watch
I
any of
don't.
those. Susan wants to know what was your most memorable experience?
Oh, where I live at, we had a place that another team actually called my old team in, and you can look it up on the news, on some newsreels from this area, because they found a half body in the house. And then this team that called us was called in, and they went to investigate. And they said there was a lot of heavy feeling and a lot of eerie stuff, and they didn't know how to handle it. So they called our team in to come help them at the time. It was a 12-hour investigation, and it was the most intense thing I have ever been on in my life so far as an investigation, because you had the heavy feeling, you had the energy. We found old papers up in the attic of Marilyn Manson and John Wayne Gacy. We found stuff that was left there by previous owners, I'm sure, that was very inappropriate, and I'm not going to say it on the air.
Right.
We actually had luminol with us, and we found little pieces of blood still on the walls in certain locations of that house. But yeah, that was a very intense investigation that we had for that time.
Right.
But it
Wayne
actually
has a
happened here in
question.
Galesburg, Illinois.
Oh, did it? Right. Well, see, this is stuff people don't hear about if they're
Yeah,
on the outskirts. Wayne wants to know, do you
yeah.
feel that you have sufficient proof that the paranormal is real?
I've seen a lot of things myself that is unexplained that I've tried to debunk and tried different methods of trying to redo it or reenact it and come up with no answers. So yes, I do believe there is that paranormal part. I think it also is a lot of other stuff with, depending on the land where it's at, if it's Indian ground as well, or if something tragic happened on the land or the ground that you're on, energy from whatever happened still resonates there. So it can be a mixture of things, but yeah, I do think that the paranormal is definitely real for sure, without a doubt.
All right. Cree has a question. Do you ever go in and realize the person is a drug addict? Do you still do investigations or recommend them to professional help?
So far we have been lucky. The ones that we have come across like that, we've had phone interviews with and video chats before we even think about going. And those are the ones we kind of shy away from them and tried to have them go get help, because you can tell they're on something when you're sitting there video chatting with them and not acting right and acting funny. And some of the things that we've experienced, I know when people are on drugs, they have a different outlook of things, because it opens some drugs open up your third eye. and it makes things very intense for people. But when we get around things like that, we got to look for the safety of the team. And then we also recommend in a nice way that, maybe you should go see a counselor and talk to them about some stuff and do it that way, because we're not going to put our team in danger either when we go do stuff like that. Can't hear you.
Sorry. I was coughing the first time around. I forgot to turn it back on. Susan wants to know, have you ever been touched by a spirit?
Yes. Yes, I have. You can actually feel it on your skin, and it actually feels like the best way to describe it is kind of something soft but a little heavy to the just barely touching your skin. You can feel it.
Right. Kind of like a wisp of like everybody says, like a spider web feeling. Like you got just a little bit of a wispy feeling on the skin. It's kind of strange.
I guess the best way to explain it for other ways is like I was doing with this with the energy.
Right.
Making the energy balls, and you can feel it. That's kind of how it feels like in my hand personally when it does that. But I guess the best way to describe it is maybe like a magnetic feeling.
All right.
When they do it.
Yeah. Welcome the other side. Cree has a question. Do you do the Estes? And if so, can you describe how you do it? So many I see standing right next to the person, damn near yelling the question and not wearing a blindfold, doing it all wrong.
I've experienced the Estes method once I teamed up with Eternal Paranormal, and we went to the Rock Island Roadhouse, which is very haunted. I'm sorry, my dog's barking.
Okay.
They were actually up on the main floor, and I was down in what they called the vortex room. And I had my camera up down there filming from my point of view. They were upstairs. And we were live. So I couldn't hear what they were saying anyhow. But when we got done with it, when they were asking questions from up there, and then I was giving answers, because we went back after we got done with the investigation, and I was like, okay, I wanted to see what they asked. Then I went back and seen what my answers was, and we were kind of shocked that they would actually coincide. That's the first time I've actually ever used it, is with them guys. And I have seen teams, like I said, within the next room, you could probably hear each other, but the headphones that I actually had on had that sound thing in it. So I couldn't hear nothing anyhow. And like I said, they were on the floor above us, and it was a solid building. So you couldn't hear anything anyway from where I was at. But
Very
yeah, it's definitely an interesting method if you do it.
Where has been the most, actually I want to say is, have you ever been to an investigation and it has disturbed you so much that you would never go back?
So far, no. But the one that I just described a little while ago with the half body was the most intense one I've ever been on. But yeah, I haven't seen one yet at this point that I wouldn't go back. So.
Okay. And have you been on an investigation in a certain place where you have gotten so much data that makes you want to go back over and over to see what else you can catch?
I definitely like going to Broadhead Manor. I definitely like there. There's a lot of activity there. There's a lot of different places in that building you can find that has got EVPs, energy. The first time I was actually there, the owner, Bill Walter, was showing us around places where we could go and we couldn't go at the time. And this is the first time I was ever there, and we were following them around. And everybody stopped down by the boiler room. And I'm like, okay, why is everybody stopped? But I seen a guy walk up the steps, go up to the platform, take a right, and the dog followed him. And I'm like, okay, everybody's sitting here, so I'm going to follow the guy because I'm like, okay, I don't know why we're standing here. Well, I'm going to follow this dude. I go up the steps, take a right. Both doors are locked with padlocks on them, and the dog's sitting right there on the floor. It's like the guy's totally gone. Nobody there. And I told the owner, and he says, yeah, you seen the janitor. Wow. And that's one of the spirits that are actually there. And I was like, whoa. But he actually walked up the stairs, took a right. And like I said, both doors had actual padlocks on them at the time. And the dog was sitting there, but the guy was gone. Right. Totally gone.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So there's a lot of interesting things. If you get a chance to go to Broadhead, do that.
Yes, Ryan wants to go now. Cree wants to know: do you think a spirit? Do you think a spirit answers questions immediately, or you might be in the third question and then they answer the first one because they need time, because their time is different than ours?
Yeah, I try to give a little bit of a gap in between time when I ask questions to see what would happen. But yeah, sometimes they may overlap a little bit if you ask too quickly, but try to be on a timely type manner, at least give them a chance, because sometimes if they don't have that enough energy to activate that REM pod, you might not get that answer right away, or sometimes they might just flicker it or whatever, not get the red light or the blue light that you assigned to your question for a yes, no. They might not have enough energy. And that's, like I said, I'll pull out the Tesla coil and boost up the energy in the room and help it out a little bit. But yeah, give it a little bit of space. Sometimes they will overlap.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, usually that's what I would do. I wait a little while. And you give them a couple of minutes and then you wait, you don't bombard them with a bunch of them, because then you don't know what you're getting the answer to.
And you also try to come up with some unique questions as well. So
right.
That's always
it's never too many questions, you guys. So don't sweat it, Cree. You can ask all the questions you want. That's why he's here. Susan wants to know: do you believe in reincarnation?
Yeah, I do. But like I said, I also believe that, you can go out to the universe if you choose at the time. And like I said, if you go to the light, you could be reincarnated. And like I said, Indians believed in it as well, and believing they could come back as an animal possibly as well. So yeah, you can be reincarnated, because that's where your past lives come into effect too. And that's where your Akashic records fall into place. And that's always something to check out if you haven't done that, is going to your Akashic records and look into your past. That's very interesting if you can get a Reiki master to do that for you, because I've had that done as well.
Interesting. Yeah, we're going to have the Reiki show and find out all those interesting tidbits about it. Pomp says, I think too many investigators think that the spirit folks are performing monkeys or owe it to the living to answer. But plenty of the living won't do as told or dodge questions. So why can't the deceased? That makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
No, they can answer them if they want to. They can play tricks on you. They can do whatever they want. They're in their own dimension, their own, with their own energy. They can do just like we can.
Awesome question, Wayne. Do you think one spirit can haunt two separate locations? That's a good one, Wayne.
Yeah, I think they can go back and forth. They can follow you, definitely. I've had one follow me from one location to the house and caused some chaos here until I found out what it was and had to get rid of it. But yeah, I believe they can follow you for sure.
Yeah, they can pretty much do what they want. Excuse me. It's not like we can say, no, you can't go there. I mean, whatever. They can do what they want.
Right.
Cree wants to know, what do you think the effect has been on the paranormal teams trying to do it right because of the ones that don't stick to the truth all the time?
Well, I support all the ones that tell the truth and do it the right way. Like I said, I don't believe in these people that or watch them or even support them that they're gotta rig things to make them happen or stuff like that. And I think that's just terrible. I wish that more investigators like us would actually talk to each other more instead of being scared to show the evidence that we hold or you hold and be able to communicate better, because the answer that you have may help me solve an answer that I have.
Right.
And if you guys are not if we're not communicating, we're missing the puzzle pieces, because some of us may hold the pieces to solve the whole puzzle. If we put it all together, who knows what we'd come up with if we'd actually work together. But yeah, people that do all this rigging stuff, I just don't pay a lot of attention to them.
Well, it's all about the YouTube thing. Thank you, Julie, for the donation. I really appreciate it, sweetie. Enjoy watching us on TV. I don't know if you want to see me in a bigger size screen.
I'd rather have viewers that would watch me for being authentic than to watch me for just trying to be popular.
Yeah, or entertaining, you know. I mean, I don't begrudge the fakers. You know, if they want to entertain people, some of them are very entertaining, but put on there that it's for entertainment purposes only. Don't try to push off that crap and say it's real, because then it damages the, you know, teams like us who are actually out there trying to find the truth.
Right. And like I said, I do it for knowledge and answer.
Right. You're doing it for yourself. Susan wants to know, what do you do to not have spirits attached to you?
Well, for me, meditation. I'll take like a salt bath before I leave. But the higher the energy that I have, the better off you are. At least in my book, I've never had a problem when I've had high energy, but I have seen people with low energy get attachments real easy.
Now, what would your recommendations be for somebody going out in the field? What do you recommend them to do to protect themselves and shield themselves against a possible attachment?
One thing that I like using obsidian. I like using crystals. I wear an obsidian necklace like this one. I'll wear this, or a bracelet, or I'll carry crystals in my pocket. You got to also put your intent into those crystals as well. Like I said, meditate with them, put your intent into them. Take a salt bath before you go. When you leave, make sure you take some selenite and always cut away anything that's with you and just leave it there so it doesn't follow you. But those are things that I would do. Sometimes I even put markings that I know. Sometimes I even put markings that I know of on my teammates' arms, just so if they've got low energy that night. So.
Okay. What do you do after an investigation? Do you do a cleansing for the entire team?
Yeah, like I said, I'll take selenite and I'll cut anything away. And we'll also tell them you're not allowed to follow us home. You must stay where you're at. So we do things like that. And like I said, salt bath too, you know, go home, take some Epsom salt, get in the tub, and make sure you clean off anything. But yeah, definitely so.
Okay. Cree wants to know, have you seen a difference in how you're treated because of so many fake teams out there right now?
You got some people that just don't believe yet because they've never experienced it for themselves, but you can't force something on someone that hasn't seen it for themselves and witnessed it either. So until that happens to them, you know, you're going to always have your disbelievers, and then you're always going to have the ones that say, oh, you're fake, oh, you're that. But, you know, until it happens to them and they actually experience it for themselves or actually go out in an investigation, heck, with me or somebody else, they'll never really see what's going on. So you'll always have those ones that will do that. So,
Right. Well, how do you feel about skeptics?
well, like I said, until it happens to them, you're always going to have a skeptic.
Right. But actually, do you think, because this is how I think, some people are so skeptical about it that I don't think that they're going to ever have their own experience because they're not even open to the possibility.
Well, that is true as well. I mean, you definitely have to be open-minded for one. And if you're so closed-minded, you may see something and chalk it off as something else. And the weird thing is it could happen time and time again to them, and they're just marking it off. Well, wait,
Right.
there has to be a
Right.
scientific term for it. And they don't even try to debunk it themselves. So like I said, until you actually sit there and have an open mind, like you said, would probably be the best term for that, is have an open mind to actually see what's going on in front of you.
Right.
Yeah. You're always going to have a skeptic.
Oh, yeah. Cree wants to know, how did you get your name?
What, the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal name? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yep, that's the name.
Okay. Well, I was on my former team. We were actually called the Wolfpack. We had a podcast called the Wolfpack. And I left that team to create my own team because I just had difference of opinions and things. And I just wanted things to be right. I wanted to be able to help people better than what was going on and treat people better than what the other person was treating the old team members. So that's why I called it the Eternal.
From.
Yeah, that's where I said that's why I called it the Eternal X Wolfpack, because I've never died. I'm still part eternal. I'm an X Wolfpack, but I have a pack of my own. So
there you go. Okay,
yeah.
that explains it. Great. Wayne wants to know, have you ever encountered a possession before?
I would say no, not what they call a full possession, but I have seen some pretty bad attachments that we have taken away from people. And that's where, like I said, we've used Reiki, which helps in taking away those attachments, because we've taken away several from my former team members that had attachments, but I've never seen a full-blown possession, no.
Right. Yes, Cree. Yeah, the name is External X Wolfpack Paranormal. That's the name that he uses now. Or Eternal, I'm sorry.
No.
My bad,
Eternal.
my bad. It doesn't really roll off the tongue really easy. You got to really look at it while you're saying it.
Yeah, it's kind of a tongue twister.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it does catch the attention. So
yeah, it does. Like I said, I thought I knew you from somewhere else before, and that's where it was from.
Yep, I used to be on a podcast a long time ago with my former team member, and like I said, I went out on my own.
Okay, let's see. Jonathan says energy works on vibrational patterns. High energy expresses itself through higher frequency vibrations. Lower vibrational energy expresses itself through lower frequency. So yeah, that's.
I agree.
So well, because Jonathan did say that him and his wife are also certified Reiki as well. So yeah, we gotta get a bunch of you on so you can explain it to us. So pretty much you don't even pay attention to anybody that's on YouTube as far as all of these big time channels. You don't watch any of that, do you?
No, I normally watch a lot of the people I support. Like I said, I'll watch your show. I've watched Susan's show. Gwen Johns got them with Lee Brown and those guys, murders and stuff like that. Normally the people I associate with, I watch their shows, but if I see something and somebody points out, I might watch it and just see what they're talking about, but I don't bother with it. But like I said, I follow the true
Yeah,
ones. I don't
it's a good
follow
idea.
people
Yeah.
that rig stuff.
Yeah, because all it does is cause you a headache. Unfortunately, what I
Yeah.
do, well, first off, what you do as well, which we'll get into that, doing a podcast, sometimes you got to watch some of this stuff to figure out what's going on and who to have on. And it's
Oh yeah.
because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Cree wants to know, all right,
It's
I don't know if you've heard of Kenny Biddle. He's our resident skeptic. Does not think investigators should use the word energy to talk about spirits. Do you agree or disagree, and why?
Spirits are energy in my terminology. They are energy because you can't see them, and they are a part of what was us, and we are made of energy. So I guess I disagree with that because we are energy, and when we pass on, we are somewhat energy until we figure out if we're going to be, how do I say, some people say reborn, depending on your religion and what
Right.
you believe or what you're going to do afterwards, because you will have choices when that time comes, I'm sure.
Right. So yeah, no, I agree too. I believe we do. It's a higher form of energy. The body can't
Mm-hmm.
work without that energy. So that's why I always ask everyone, what do you believe that we, transform into, that higher form or whatever your beliefs may be.
Well,
Um,
I will share something with you that has to do with this energy that they're talking about. 2 years ago, I had my girlfriend, she passed away. And about 3 days after the funeral, I come home, and where I'm sitting at now, it was just total black because I'm after dark. And I was about ready to flip on the light switch in the kitchen, and I happened to look in my dining room area, and this is the first time I've ever seen a full apparition. She was actually standing in my dining room.
wow.
And I said, "You come to check on me?" And she said, "Yes." And then I said, "You have more energy and more power than you know what to do with." And she nodded her head, "Yes." And I said, "You're coming to check on everybody that you cared about?" And she goes, "Yes." And she says, and then I said, "You're going to be around for a long time." And I can always feel her around whenever I make a decision, because when I do make a decision, sometimes I feel a little tap on my right shoulder. That's like a yes. And I'll feel a tap on my left side if it's no. And I know it's her, because normally when that's the first full apparition I've completely seen legitimately. Because normally when I see a spirit, the best way to describe it is the way I see energy, because I'll see energy around me at times. And it's like standing on a hot day on a road, and you see the waves coming off the ground.
Right.
That's how I see energy. That's how I see energy in spots. But she was the first one I actually seen a full apparition of. And when she got done saying what she did, she walked right through the wall in the front part of the house and left. That's the first one I've completely seen it.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
a few days later, my dog started barking about 3:00 in the morning, and I get up and I look around, and I couldn't find anything that he was barking at. And next thing I hear this voice in my head, and she's telling me things. She's like, "You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that." And she explained a few things she wanted me to do before I died to help her do something. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but, I could actually hear her like me and you were talking right now. And it was the most bizarre thing you could ever imagine.
Wow, I'm sure. It must have been amazing. So Kaylee wants to know, there's different types of energy and ways to measure them. If spirits are energy, how do we measure that? Good question.
I would say depending on what they can move. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to move certain objects, and you got to become that vibration of the same energy that object's got in order to move it. So I would say, depending on what they can move is how much energy they have. And then to determine it, I guess, would be upon you.
Pretty much. Let's see. Cree wants to know, do you think people can believe too much in the paranormal and it affect their investigation?
Yeah. If you get influenced by something before, like I said, I really don't like trying to find out too much before I go on certain places, because I don't want to be influenced. I want to know what I feel and then compare it afterwards. But since that I am the lead of the team, I do got to find out a little bit about something about the place, because then I turn the team loose and let them come up. And then, what did you find? Are we on the right path? Are we on the right track? Is this what they come up with? Can you debunk what they've done, etc.? So yeah, you can be influenced.
Excuse me. All right. Cree also wants to know, do you try and debunk when you're investigating? If so, if not, why?
I try to debunk things.
How?
Yes, I definitely try to debunk and try to recreate it and see if I can come up with it myself. If I can't come up with it myself, or the team, when we're working together to try to figure out what it was, then we'll look into other situations of why it could have happened. But if we can't recreate it or debunk it, then it's something else.
But you don't classify it as strictly paranormal. You just unknown.
Yeah, unknown until the fact of, unless we've seen something else or etc. Yes.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, because I mean, and that's the thing. Also, when you guys are going through, you're collecting your data, and then do you visit places multiple times so that you can keep collecting that data and then compare from each time you go?
Sometimes we will be going back to a location called Steel Dam up in Rock Island, and we had an investigation there last fall, and this is a good thing, what they're talking about. We had a live one at the time when I was on a different network, so I don't know if anybody's seen the whole investigation when we had it. But after we got off, we got more going on after we went off the air of showing the investigation. And we know that there was a little girl that died there. We know some other people that died there as well. And we got names of certain people, and we started looking up the obituaries of the people that we knew that died there. And the funny thing about it, we think that the spirit was asking about the people because they were the people in the obituary. Their names actually popped up when we looked it up, and we got back to my teammate's house. They were still alive. Some of those people were still alive, that the names that we come up with. So we will definitely be going back to that location when it gets a little warmer and not so damp and muddy out, because it is called Steel Dam and there's a lot of water and in that location, and we want the team to be safe as well. But some of those names did come up in the obituary of people still alive. So I think the spirit was actually asking about the people that were still alive.
Oh, amazing. Bless you. Bless you if there was a sneeze. Cree goes, have you ever gone into a location and said there's nothing there?
Oh, yeah. You never get something every place. Sometimes you go on an investigation, you might not get nothing at all. It might be a slow night.
But actually, you wouldn't give up on that place, though, right? You would go back to it at another time?
Maybe later on. Like I said, depending on how much activity and how much people have actually talked about it. But if we actually went out and it was pretty, it might be a while before we come back out. But yeah, we would eventually get to it. But yeah, there's been times we've went on investigations and not got anything at all.
Right. Okay, Cree, here's another one for you. Keep them coming, Cree. You said in
Yeah.
that one location there were 2 kids. You also said you believed in demons. How do you know those children or those kids weren't demons pretending to be kids?
Demons are rare. I didn't say I believe in demons, but they're rare. And
Right.
some of the things that we've come across, I noticed when kids are involved, they'll say things to scare you because when the words come over the box, the voice box, they're like something kids would say on Halloween. And you got to kind of compare, when kids are trying to be funny and trying to scare you, they'll say anything to try to make you spooked, but demons are rare. So we pretty much racked it up to kids and want attention that night. And like I said, I've actually been back, talked to the lady, and she hasn't had any issues since either. So,
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, she says that that's a breath of fresh air. Wow. Yeah, because it is. I believe, yeah, demons are very rare. And there's a difference between, an angry entity or a childish one compared to an actual demon. Because
mhm.
I think if you run into a demon,
Right.
you're going to know it.
Oh, it'll definitely be bad. It would definitely be bad. Like I said,
And yeah,
when we come
nobody wants
across
to.
kids' spirits, when we come across kids' spirits, like I said, they're trying to joke with you and scare you and everything else. And you got to sit there and use some common sense when you start hearing it, that they don't want you there. They don't want you to get rid of them if they're kids, and they just want attention. And like I told the lady there, read a book and play some music. They want attention, and they were probably looking at her as being a grandma figure at the time,
Right.
And like I said, I've been back there, and she hasn't had an issue since.
Right. Hi, Jay. Hi, Kiwi. How's it going, guys? Good night, Kat. I did see you say you were leaving. Sleep well. No, it is refreshing because most of the time when you get somebody and you're talking to them, it's, oh, demon this or demon that. And
Mm-hmm.
where you're saying that, no, you guys are using common sense. That's the refreshing part.
Right.
Because most of them don't
Right.
use common sense. Cree wants to know, do you believe
Yeah.
in elementals?
Yes, I do believe in elementals. Yep. We've come across some of those in location. Actually, Broadhead Manor has an elemental there. And when you touch ground, if you're not well grounded, when you step on the ground, you definitely feel it when you're there. It will make your head a little dizzy.
So yeah, it felt it's affecting you in a negative way. All right. Do you think that more times than not, the land is haunted more than the home or the building?
I guess that could be a toss up because some houses are built on limestone, like mine is, and I've got a few that run around my house. And my house is an older house and built with the old limestone boulders as my foundation. So, limestone is a conductor of energy. So that's how they will circulate with that. But then I've also come across some that they built stuff on land that have caused problems. So it could be a toss up. And it could also be a residual energy based there too as well, and that could
Right.
that could more or less fall into the part of the land part as well if it's a residual energy. So yeah, okay, I can believe in that too.
What would be your procedure if you go somewhere and someone feels that the possible haunting or experience is caused by Native American issues? Is that something that you think you can handle, or do you recommend them seeking out a shaman of their ethnicity?
Actually, I have dealt with some stuff from Indian stuff. We have figured out what Indians were there, And we've also had the opportunity when I was with my older team. We figured out what Indians were there to help solve the problem, and we started playing their drum beats. We'd actually look up their drum beats and play them in the investigation and put the REM pod out. And they would actually start interacting more with that. And also, we would offer a peace treaty, as in the fact of, tobacco, maybe a little bit of alcohol once in a while, depending, etc. And if it gets too bad, I do know some people that I could also call and have them come help. So, but yeah, we have dealt with some Indian stuff as well.
Well, Cree, you've been asking all the questions that I was going to ask, so you're just beating me to it. So we're on the same wavelength. Wiz wants to know, can energy exist without form? The dog said yes.
Energy is open form. So I would say yes. Because energy is around you no matter what. You can feel energy off anything. So yes, I would say energy can exist without a form.
Yeah, because like you said, everything is energy. We don't see it, but it's there. So
every object, no matter what it is, has energy coming off of it, and it has a frequency of some type coming off it as well. So yes.
Ryan says that he leaves tobacco at places just for a peace offering.
Yeah, it's always a good idea, especially if you don't know if it's Indian ground or not. So that would definitely help.
Yeah, Ryan, the puppy is always right. Cree says, why do you think most spirits can't tell you their names?
I think they could if they wanted to. I think some of them just want you to figure it out and make sure that you know what you're doing. Like I said, I have come in contact with some spirits that actually said their names. And then, like I said, if they're kids spirits or teenage spirits, they might joke around with you and tell you another name to begin with. But when you come across one that the residence has heard, or somebody that's been in the residence, or the stories that somebody's told about the place and actually come across it, to me, that's verification. So when they actually say their name, that's a good thing. But they're not obligated to tell you their name.
Exactly. They're not obligated to do anything. Welcome, Tim. Jay wants to know, who said ghosts, etc. are energy?
Who said ghosts, etc. are energy? Well, ghosts are energy. They have to have an energy form or a dimensional being, however you want to say it. It's still energy.
Right. Well, everything is made of some sort of form of energy. And if you have beliefs like I believe we do transform into a higher form of energy. But I guess it all depends on people's beliefs. Question from Jonathan. True. Why is there an assumption in the paranormal that spirits, aka ghosts, are somehow at the living beck and call? And I agree, Jonathan. As if having to prove anything to us, dancing monkeys, you're right. That's what I always say. They're not performing monkeys.
They don't have to prove anything to us.
Right.
They don't have to do anything at all if they don't want to.
If it was me, I would screw with people. Yeah, because it would be funny, because that's the kind of sense of humor I've got. But when
I pass away, I'm passing out Ouija boards to everybody so I can actually contact them just to mess.
There you go. It's hey, if you can't mess with people, why not? Got to have a good time.
Yeah. Well, I got my list of people that I'm going to mess with. Trust me, I've got my list of people just to, I'm gonna make
got
a
a list,
statement and come
everybody.
back and do something. Yeah, I do got my list. I am a
It's
joker.
funny.
I do like practical jokes sometimes.
Me too. I'm always on it. So yeah, it's I never thought about making a list, but that's a good idea. Kiwi wants to know
I
what
got my
parts of
list
America.
because
Uh, okay. Kiwi wants to know what part of America wouldn't be potential native land. Because Kiwi is a foreigner. She wants to know, you know what? All of America is actually native land. To be honest.
very true. Very true. I would say more likely along the rivers and around those areas because that's where they normally make camp. But like she said, the whole American is actually Native American, and just depending on where they're at the time.
Right, because all the tribals were actually very nomadic. They moved with the seasons.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, for survival. So all of it pretty much is Native American land. Let's see.
Yeah,
The other side
I
said
agree.
they were all alive. They were all alive once, just like when they were alive. If they are comfortable with you, they will tell you their name. If they want you to know it, they will. Yeah, I agree. If they want you to know who they are, they will.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 100% too.
Let's see. Hi, Simon. Welcome. Let's see. Hi, Ra. A question. Have you ever come across a ghost who the narrative was wrong and in fact wasn't the evil one? Ooh.
No, I have not. I have come across more than one in a location that somebody only thought there was one there, but not like that. But yeah, I've come across maybe a few others that were in the same location, but not in that terminology. But
Jay wants to know, is there any proof that they can even see or hear us? That's what we're trying to do.
well, I guess if you're getting a reaction off your REM pod or something along that line, you are. But if you can actually hear them, like be audio clairvoyant, they're actually communicating with you telepathically in that sense of the word. Some people are able to hear them. Some people are able to see them. Some people can actually feel them. So, I mean, we're all different. So it depends on who we are and how we deal with it. So, and what we've been taught or what we've learned, etc. We're in this field.
Or even what we've just experienced on our own. I mean, if you've experienced a touch when nobody's around you or heard somebody speak in your ear with no gadgets, just a voice itself. I mean, I've had that happen to me several times. It's very weird, but it's happened. Actually, it happened a few days ago.
And even in that terminology, when they're touching you and there's nobody around, that's them trying to communicate to begin with.
Right. Cree wants to know, what, if anything, do you think some teams do that's wrong and should be changed? She wants to know if you think they do anything that's wrong and they should change it. Hi, Juniper.
I guess that's to the team's prerogative. Everybody's taught different. Everybody does things different. Everybody does experiments different. So, in how they come up with their evidence. So, is it wrong? No. Is it right? No. I guess it just depends on what your prerogative on how you want to perceive it and how you want to do it.
Right.
I'm never going to say somebody did something doing something wrong unless I see them actually rig it, to be rigged evidence. Then I might say something about it. But otherwise, if they're getting evidence for what they're doing, then they're doing it right. You can't say it's wrong.
Yeah, well, and right and wrong, it's a big, it's an open perspective there. What's right to somebody else, it could be wrong. It's, and I did see you, Chaz, sweetie. How are you doing? Cree says that I was taught that elementals are the guardians of the land, and they are not evil, but protective, and that protection can
Mhm.
be seen as evil. What do you think?
They are protectors of the land, and some people do perceive them as evil, but I have not had that experience as come across them as being evil. But they are protective, and you have to respect what's there. I've seen some strange things happen when people kind of butt heads with them, but definitely for sure they are the protectors of that land for a reason.
Yeah. Simon wants to know, have you ever been in a home and knew something went down there that was bad?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it depends on what you're classifying as bad, because I've been on an investigation when I was actually walking in a room one time, and I was standing in a certain location, and then I actually got an image in my head of the lady actually falling down, and she was grabbing her chest, and she actually had a heart attack where I was standing at.
Right.
And then I turned around and asked the person after I felt it what actually happened there, and she actually verified what happened. So for that, to me, that's kind of bad when somebody actually had a heart attack and couldn't get assistance on time, and they were actually kind of suffering because it was kind of a deep, heavy feeling that I felt there.
Good night, Jay. Thanks for hanging out with us. Go get some sleep. Question. Simon also wants to know, what is your idea on demons? I believe them as just as much as human spirits who just love causing mayhem and destruction.
Like I said, I do believe in demons, but they are very rare to come across. I have not come across anything that's a demon. And if you were to come across them, I'm sure they would cause a lot of mayhem and destruction if that's what they were there to do. But
Right.
demons are, in my book, are rare.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just a spirit that's got a bad attitude. That's why everybody automatically runs to the demon label, and it's just probably somebody that's pissed
Mm-hmm.
off. Again,
Yeah,
here, like
like I
Cree
said,
says,
demons are rare in my book.
let's see. She said, because wisdom, they're saying they agree, which makes me wonder why we don't have more signs of the day of the dinosaurs. Why is it just the 1800s for most part that's seen? Which
I
that's a
guess it depends
good
on where you're at.
where you're at, right? And I mean, the dinosaurs aren't living in the buildings that everybody's investigating. You're pretty much running into probably past residents and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a good question
Right.
why somebody doesn't see anything like, because everybody's, well, why don't you see prehistoric man or stuff like that? Good question. I don't
I mean,
know.
it's possible if you're in the location where that's happened, you could probably see a precognition or a past view of something if you were in the locations where some of that's happened. I mean, it's possible.
Right. Sure. Well, everything's possible if you're open for it. Yes, Ryan. Over
Right.
time, who knows what happened on that different piece of land? Lots of history. Yes, everything changes with each year and passing of time. So I think whatever is going to leave its signature is what we're going to run into. Wisdom says, I think too many investigators put too much faith in apps that could not possibly work due to the fact that you have to break an encryption to get into the word banks, which contains spooky words. That's why it's an experiment. I wouldn't let the applications run the investigation. They're good fillers. But you never know. There might be that one time where you're going to use an app and something's going to come up that doesn't fit in with everybody thinks is fake. It's going to come up with something that nobody expected. Because we don't know.
Well,
Maybe
here's an instance. Here's an
Okay.
instance where I was on an investigation and we were using necrophonics one night. And like I said, you got to use your common sense when you start hearing things. But we got to this one location in the house and we kept hearing notebook, letter, and etc. And we had no clue. And we were sitting there and we kept hearing it over and over again, the same things. So we started going to another part of the house and we asked the lady of the house at the time, I said, can we go through this certain person's things? Because that's why we were there, because this person kept saying they heard things saying that they wanted that person to commit suicide. So that's why we were trying to figure out what was going on. But when we were going through the stuff, because I asked him if could have permission to look through some of the things, and we actually came across a book that had a letter in it describing what was going on. So sometimes, you may think it's hokey, some of these apps that don't work, but some of them do. But you got to use your common sense too as well.
So yeah, that's the bottom line, common sense, guys. And I think it's great because you're the first one that's actually said, use them, but use your common sense. Always trust your gut. Your gut's never wrong. Cree wants to know, what are your thoughts on debunkers?
They can be good. I don't have a problem with any debunkers. Like I said, whenever I go live, what you see is what you get, and I try to debunk it myself. So if they've got any advice that, saying, hey, it could have been this or could have been that, hey, I'm open to it. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. I mean, they could actually help me figure out what it could have been if I can't figure it out myself. So yeah.
Right. And I agree with you there on Simon. Simon says in the UK, all spirits are seen from all ages. In the US, most of America worldwide is more recent. So you would get 18th and 19th century ghosts. Yeah, I do believe that because our history isn't that old here.
Right.
So yeah, the UK, I'd love to be able to go to UK. Kiwi wants to know, what do you think the future of paranormal investigation is?
Oh,
good one.
Wow. That would be, I would hope that we could actually be able to cross boundaries and be able to communicate better with them. That's what I'm hoping, and be able to understand why they were able to do things like they were doing so we can do them. That would be cool.
And the dog, that was his answer. What is your opinion? Why do you think that spirits linger and hang around a location?
I think because they've got unfinished business. They want you to know something. They want you to help you with something, or they could even be there to be your guardian. They could be the person watching over you and protecting you.
Right. Oop.
Or you got your bad ones as well that just want to cause a little bit of chaos here and there too. So,
right.
But yeah.
Simon wants to know, have you ever come across animal spirits? Good one. You don't hear many people talking about that.
Yes. Yes, I actually have a wolf guide spirit and a jaguar spirit, and they communicate with me as well. Wolf spirits are pretty cool. Wolf spirits are actually looked at upon as knowledge and some wisdom, depending on how you want to look at them.
Right. Well, because there's a lot of people that don't believe that animals have spirit, which I don't understand why. It's a living energy, so why wouldn't it have a spirit?
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I've actually seen some video, and maybe you've even seen it before, coming across it on reels and stuff before. Like, and this is a bad thing, but it's what it was. It was like a little kitten, and it passed away. And you actually seen something leave that little kitten's body at the time when they were recording it, and it was kind of unique. And I would say it was unique, but if I actually had the video to see if it was authentic, but I thought it was pretty original from what I seen, because it was caught,
right.
On live video. when it happened, when it died. And I thought it was kind of unique.
Well, and it's very rare when you do catch something like that. The other side says
Right.
we have seen an animal spirit at our home, a cat. Oh, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Probably because
Cats
maybe
are
I
good
mean
for,
it might have passed tragically or quickly and didn't realize it, and it's hanging around.
well, they say cats actually, when they're purr, they're actually trying to cure you or help you heal. This is why they purr. So I've heard that theory behind that as well.
So yeah, that's why my cat's always purring because she knows I don't feel well. So she's purring all the time. Gwen says during an investigation, we caught a cat spirit on video. Oh, that's neat.
That's cool.
Because
That is
it's not
definitely
very
cool.
often where you hear people
I've,
say that they've caught something like that. So that's pretty neat.
yeah, I've actually been on a live chat with Gwen, and her phone dropped. And when her phone dropped, it was kind of unique because I actually seen something standing behind her in a child that was standing behind her at the time I was talking to her, and she was wearing a coat and rain boots. So that was kind of unusual to see that when the phone fell and it fell at the angle and there was nobody
Right.
behind her because she took the phone and turned around and looked and it showed me there. But I actually seen her standing there. That was kind of unique.
That's pretty neat. Hey, Bill. What, you're late, Bill. You're really late. Bill wants to know, do cats have 9 spirits? It's a legit
Sure.
question.
Well, sure.
Because,
They seem to come
9
around no
lives.
matter what happens to them
They
afterwards.
need them. The crap that they get into, they need them. They need more than 9.
I've seen cats do some pretty stupid stuff and
Yeah.
they're still around. So,
They got to have
I
those
mean,
extra
curiosity
ones.
said it kills the cat.
Yeah,
Curiosity
no, I
kills the
know.
cat, but they keep coming around.
Yeah, Bill goes, "Oh, that was a joke." No, we know it's, but no, you're sure they do need 9. They're always in trouble. Simon says, my dog purrs while on my mom's lap. She isn't a well lady. Well, you guys, they animals know when you don't feel well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
they
it
do.
is
They can
strange.
tell
Yeah,
when
because
your
I know,
blood pressure goes.
right?
Yeah, your blood
Yeah, when
pressure
I'm
is
not
low, your sugar's low. They can sense that.
sure, or they know whether you're going to have a seizure. They can sense all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not feeling good, my dog knows it. She sticks right to me. And she knows that I'm not
Mm-hmm.
feeling well. Gwen says, yes, that was interesting. Yeah, that's really neat. I'd like to see that. Because you don't hear, like I said, you don't usually hear people say, oh, what was that? Oh, they were an animal spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't hear that. So yeah,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. What are your future plans for the wolf pack, sir?
Well, what I want to do is to be able to help the people, to be able to help them understand what's going on in their house. I'm not in it for the money. I like doing my podcast. I like meeting new teams, talking to teams, talking about their experiences and stuff like that. So it's always cool. That's why I do the podcast all the time. So I can understand and learn from them as well and some of their techniques if we get to talking about that. But just keep doing what I'm doing. I want to be able to help people, and that's
Right.
what I want to do.
Fantastic. My question is, how did you transition from investigator to podcaster?
It kind of went hand in hand, to be honest. It like I said, I was on the old team and we needed something to do during the winter times because it got slow, and we started doing podcasts then. So I just ended up doing podcasts where I could talk to the people, the new teams and stuff, and get to learn about them and their experiences and their locations they've gone to, and some of their techniques as well. And Like I said, that's why I like doing the podcast, and to be able to inform people that, spirits do exist. It's not in our heads. Things do happen. There are things that are unexplained. There are things that can be debunked. And like I said, until you actually experience it on your own, you may be a disbeliever, but it's something that I like to do and to inform the people, So
Now, being a podcaster, an interviewer, like I am, and do you find it difficult to stay neutral when you're interviewing some suspicious teams?
I always stay neutral. I mean, my beliefs and your beliefs or somebody else's beliefs, we all could have different beliefs. Is that right? Is that wrong? No, but you've got to be able to respect that. You got to be able to look at it from their point of view and be able to have an open mind. And if you're not open-minded, then we don't need to be doing this. We're here to learn from each other. And that's one thing a lot of teams don't understand. And I wish they would do more, as in the fact of, like I said, communicating before. And because like I said, you could have something that you've had an investigation that's similar to mine, that you might have more evidence that might open up the key to something else.
Right.
None of us know, because some of us keep it a secret to ourselves. And that's the worst thing you could probably do. But can you just imagine if we all got together and actually sat down and actually had a civil talk and not have egos of what we could actually possibly solve?
Oh, amen to that. Yeah.
If we could actually do it.
Yeah. And there's a large group of people that can. You just got that certain few that can't. And there's where the problem lies. Unfortunately, the paranormal community is filled with drama, unnecessary drama. And if we just stuck to what we're doing, and just, behave like grown-ups, we could figure things out. But it's really hard with some people. It really is. Simon wants to know.
Agree. And I always cut out that drama. I don't deal with it.
Oh, yeah, I stay away from it, too, because all it does is gives you a headache. It gives you aches in other places, too.
Oh, yeah.
My meaning.
Yep.
Simon,
I do.
Yeah, Simon wants to know, he wants to know if you've ever, if you have ever been to a place and know you have had a past life there. Good question.
Yeah, I've actually been communicating with somebody since the end of November that we have linked to a past life together, and we're actually going to meet in May. And they come from the Ireland side. I'm also from that area. My family's from that area, and I've also got the markings of the Druids. The little cross that's in the hand. Yeah. Well, you got that little cross says you're linked to magic in your bloodline.
Right.
And I've actually been linked to that. And I've been linked to some of my other friends that I do talk to from past life experiences. The one that was my Reiki master, my mentor, we've experienced something where when I was in a past life regression, we were going through my Akashic records. And it was like I was standing there when they put me through it. And I was standing there, and God, or Jesus, however you wanted to say, was standing on a platform. And I was actually standing around the crowd. I was in the crowd. I could actually see it physically standing there. That's what it felt like to me when I was in this past life regression when they were doing it for me. And they said they were going to crucify him. And I tell you what, the whole crowd just went quiet. There's like, are you crazy? Well, my mentor said she could see me from where she was sitting up on a balcony. And another member said he could see me from another side in the crowd from where he was at. So that's what happened when we were in that past life regression, when they were putting us through it, the Akashic records, and we seen stuff like that. So yes, I do believe past lives and places that you have been. And it's also funny, if you walk into a building and you thought you've been there, you may have been there in your past life. That's why it's common to you.
Right. How did they do that? I've never had that done where somebody has done a past life regression on me. I mean, how does that work? How do they do that?
The Reiki master, what she did with us, she got a frequency out that she uses, and she would start putting us into a meditative state, and then that frequency would work on us with that, and it would get us into a relaxed state where we could see and do. Some people, they see a hallway of doors. That's how it's explained to them, as a hallway of doors. And that door that's open, you walk through it, and that shows you the life that you need to see at the time. Some people see it different. Like me, sometimes I'll see it as energy forms. But in that instance that I seen the part where I was talking about, I actually seen that legit kind of, and it actually felt like I was standing there, and it was pretty unique.
Wow.
So, but it's a trance state that they can put you in, and you can see that.
Interesting. That's and when you had this done, was it done in a room full of people or just you and the Reiki teacher?
Actually, it was me and my old team that did it, because she was on our team at the time.
Okay.
She was the Reiki master of the team at the time, and I became friends with her, and she's the one that showed me how to do all the stuff that I know with Reiki. I'm not a master of it by any means, but I do understand a lot of things and how to do things with energy that I need to do for what I have to do.
Right.
And it's unique. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm constantly learning. I go to classes once a month where some people are Reiki masters. They show me stuff. Some people are Wiccans. They show me things. Some are Peruvian. They believe in the Peruvian side of it, the Peru. So I learn from a lot of different people. And I know some things when they were teaching the Peru side of things with that stuff, I can link it with the Egyptian side, because what they use with the nature and the rocks, the Egyptians used with the crystals.
Right.
So I can understand the knowledge between the two. And that was really cool when they started explaining that, because I could relate to it from what I've been shown, and it's really cool.
Yeah, pretty interesting. The other side wants to know, do you think there is a link between deja vu and past lives? For example, if you go to a place you have never been before, but you can describe that place in detail.
I had an instance when I was in high school. We went to Wisconsin, and there's a person I met, and I never met her before in my life. And we were sitting there on the dock, and to me, knowing what I know now, I think it was the energy that she was giving off that you could pick up certain things. But I actually described her whole house to her, and it freaked her out. And I'd never been there before in my life.
Right.
And I think it has to do with some energy, but also, like I said, deja vu and past lives, you've been there before, or you're picking up energy to understand what's there. So I think they are linked without a doubt.
Yeah, could be a really good possibility, because I mean, I have deja vu all the time. And sometimes it's really annoying. Especially also premonition dreams. I have those all the time as well. And it does, I could be in the middle of doing something and then just stop. And it's like I'm frozen because I'm reliving that moment in time, and I know what's going to be happening. And it happens a lot.
One thing I've noticed, and I think it's really weird, if you've let's say you had a whole bad month, and all of a sudden you go back and you look through your zodiac signs, and you start reading through your zodiac signs, and you start reading them backwards, and then you realize that happened to me the whole time that I was having this bad month. It's kind of crazy how it goes hand in hand sometimes. Some people, it does do that exactly to a T from your zodiac signs and reading what they were to now.
Right. Wisdom says, I think deja vu can be linked to dreams that you don't remember.
I remember dreams, so
I remember everything that I
I
dream.
remember my dreams. Yeah. I remember
Also, if
pretty much everything.
I'm dreaming, and I don't know if most people can do this, but when I'm having a dream and I wake up, and then when get up, you go to the bathroom, whatever, and then I go back to sleep, I continue the dream from where I left off.
I did have one of those, and it was really weird. I was going through my second baptism. I was actually going through my second baptism at the time before I got married. And I had a dream. I was standing out in the middle of the desert, and there's this door right in front of me. A huge it looks like a castle door with a frame, but there's no castle. It's just the door on a concrete slab with a chain across it. And I'd look up in the sky, and I would see a lightning flash and storms and all sorts of stuff. And I'd see tanks on the ground. Next thing, you see jets flying through the air and archangels falling out of the sky. And then all of a sudden, this voice in my head says, whatever you do, and you're the only one standing here. I'm the only one on this whole platform by myself in front of this door. It says, whatever you do, don't let anything come out of there. I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, I'd wake up. I'd look at the clock, turn around, I'd fall back to sleep. The dream would keep going.
Right.
I'd pick up exactly where it left off. And I talked to a friend that was a preacher at the time, and he explained to me I was one of the people at that time in the Bible that you are the person that young men will dream dreams of yet to come. And he described it as a time slip in Armageddon. He said, I possibly seen Armageddon. And every time I'd wake up and I would look at the clock never changed.
Right.
But the dream, I pick up and it would still go. It was pretty weird.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, Wisdom does it too. Also, as far as talking about dreams, I don't know, Wiz, if you do this or if you do this, Shawn, I control my dreams. If I'm dreaming about something and I don't like the way it's turning out, I'll say, no. And then I change it to my advantage. I don't know if everybody has that experience as well.
Kind of like going into astral projection and doing what you want to go and going where you want to go. But yeah,
right.
Like you can fly.
Right. And if it's bad, and I'll say like, oh no, I ain't putting up with this shit. And I change it. And I say it in my dream. Yep.
Yep. Control your dreams. Yep. Definitely so. Definitely possible.
Oh, the other side does that too. Yeah, I do that too. Yeah, it's what do you say? Liz says, yep, so much fun. I was writing a book like that a while back. Yeah, you have dream control, which is fantastic. Because I'll say that to my husband and he'll say, well, God, he goes, I can't do that. How do you do that? I said, I don't know, I just do it. Let's see. Wiz says, write down my dreams and then continue it the next night. Cree does it too. I do that, change my ugly dreams immediately. Yeah. You're like, oh, no, I ain't dreaming this. And you change it.
Yeah, you'll interact with your dream where some people can't interact with it. But yeah, you can change your dreams.
Bill, you're such an ass. Bill, I used to have dreams where thousands of people are throwing dill pickles at me while chanting "Get Lost." Yeah, it was me. I was throwing them at you. Oh, you're such a goof.
Did you pick one up and start eating it?
Yeah, I would say hand them over, man. I love a good pickle. Carlos says, I usually dream or nightmare when I'm stressed. Otherwise, it's what I don't recall. Yeah, I had, it was actually last week I was having a series of nightmares, actually, which included the devil. And I took charge. And it was a dream that even though I was waking up several times during the night, every time I'd go back to sleep, the dream
Mhm.
would not leave my head. And if I didn't take
Yeah.
control, I don't know, but I had to take control and steer it in the right direction.
There's always a reason for it. It's and either to teach you something or to make you realize something for whatever's going on in your life at the time. But there's always a reason for some of those weird dreams to happen the way they do. But like you said, when you start interacting with it, and then all of a sudden now you're awake and now you're wondering, it's like, okay, and then you realize, could this possibly be something it's trying to tell me to begin with? So,
Right.
and what do I need to change?
Right. And yeah, and like I said, I changed it during the dream to my advantage. So Wisdom says that's terrible nightmare. That terrible nightmare that I was pulling money out of my pants pockets, and when I woke up, they were empty. Yeah, that happens to everybody. That's not a dream, Wisdom. That's
I
life.
think, yeah, I was going to say that's an everyday thing sometimes, I think.
That's called life.
I thought I had $2 there. Nope.
Yeah, I don't even have pocket lint. Mine's just empty. Let's see. Cree says I went and got sage, ton of holy water, sage, and aloe plants, and never had the issue afterwards. Oh, she's talking about a dream that she had. I had that happen to me. They kept coming at me, trying to make me think I was my mom that passed. Scared the shit out of me. Oh. So yeah,
One
you
thing
got
I
to
do
take
realize,
charge.
one thing I've told when I've been around children that's had bad dreams, I'll put up a dream catcher for them. And I'll christen that dream catcher and I'll put it up above their bed, or I'll give them an obsidian bracelet, because obsidian is supposed to absorb all that negative energy when you're sleeping. And it's also supposed to protect your body if your spirit leaves as well. So it's always good to kind of have obsidian on you when you're sleeping as well.
Right. Let's see. Yeah, Cree. It was me. It's everybody's reality. Empty pockets.
Yeah.
Because I always say it's
When you find that money tree, let us know, man.
Yeah, I always say, why don't I dream about winning the lottery or something? No.
Yeah, really.
So yeah, that's very
sure.
few and far between that you have that kind of a dream. I don't know, guys, but so what are your plans for the podcast? Anything interesting coming up that we all should keep an eye out for?
Actually, I have a new show that me and Gwen's working on that'll be coming out hopefully maybe by the end of the month or very soon. We're going to be talking, it'll be just kind of like a regular podcast as well. And we'll have some interesting guests come on that. We're working on that right now. But I definitely plan on doing podcasts as long as I can and getting as many people as I can on, and new teams from anywhere. I've talked to people from overseas before if I can get the timing right, because there's definitely at least an 8-hour difference sometimes. But I've got friends over there. I definitely have friends over there that I talk to on occasion, once in a while, and stay in touch with. I got friends over in Australia I talk with once in a while as well. But yeah, I do definitely like checking out new Facebook pages and kind of skimming through them and new teams that's popping up. And I watch a little bit of their stuff, and all right, new team, try to help them out, try to get them some followers and get them up and going as well. And, I try to share out as much as I possibly can as well. I'm all for working together and unity, as in the fact of where some people don't. And that's one thing I can say with the network that I am associated with All Access Network Television. We work well together, and we've been sharing out a lot of stuff and showing a lot of different things, and trying to keep the shows good. We want them to be up to par. We don't want a bunch of BS. We don't want the drama. You know, we want to be able to have people come on and say, hey, ask questions like you did here tonight and talk to people and, you know, learn. And that's the best thing to do, you know. And I will continue to do that. That's something I'm definitely going to do. I definitely like doing stuff. I'm also the backup producer to Gwen for Access Network Television now, so I help her when she needs it.
Yes, lovely lady.
Me and her
Susan
definitely are coming up with a new
show. Susan and I interviewed her, so yeah, very lovely lady.
Yeah, she's awesome. She does like 6 shows she produces. She does an amazing job. She does all the video work for it. She does all the intro work for it. She's a hard worker and stuff. And like I said, whenever she needs help, you know, I always help her out, and I got her back, you know, and help her out as well. And if I need help, she's always there to help me out as well. And we share out as much as we possibly can. Like I said, you know, I'm friends with Susan, and I share out her stuff. I'll share out your stuff as well. I've got this already posted on my page. And like I said, I'm willing to work with everybody. And that little logo I put up, you know, with all the teams that I interview, you know, I want them to be able to come back and say, hey, you know, if you got something to say, come on. If you don't have your own podcast, let me know. I'll put you back up. We'll talk about the things. We'll talk about your experiences and stuff. And I think that's a good thing, you know, when people can do that, you know. So that's definitely what I'm going to do. And I know Gwen and I are working on trying to build, at least she is, and I am going to help her build up the network that we got, because I think there's a bunch of great people here as well. And I'd like to see this network where I'm associated with now grow, because I was with another network and I wasn't getting very many views, but right now things are going great. And like I said, All Access Network Television has been helping me out a lot, and I've been working with them, and they're awesome. So
fantastic. So that's where you guys can find him. You can also find you on Facebook, correct?
Yep, under Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal. You can also find me under that on YouTube as well, and anything on All Access Network Television as well. They show all my replays of the shows after the first round. They show them as well. And like I said, you know, Gwen does an amazing job when she does her stuff, and she's a hard worker when it comes to things like that. She produces all her shows. And actually, I produce my own show, and I do all the footwork like you do. You know, I find the guest, I look up the guest, I do all the research on them before I have them on. And I know Gwen does the same thing as well. And it takes a lot of time to put together a show and get people to come on. And I'm actually booked clear up till the end of May right now.
Well, so good for you. I'm still working on that.
Good. I could probably go a little farther, but I'm planning a trip on May. I'm going to go down to South Carolina, and I'm actually going to visit with Gwen and Lee Brown, Lee Brown and Matt, her husband. We're going to an Indian powwow that weekend, so I actually get to see. I actually get to see an authentic powwow, so I'm excited about that as well. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, and we've got some investigations that I'm definitely going to go back to Steel Dam here when it gets better weather. We're going to go to a place that they pulled cars out of the water, bodies in them. We've been there once already. We've had some activity, and we've had some stuff come up that we can compare things with. We're definitely going to go back there and do a live for sure. We just think it's a little weird that some of the stuff that we came up with. So we're definitely going to make that a show and a live investigation when we do it. Because like I said, we already went out there and did a little research at the time. And when we were there, the weird thing about it was my team member's friend was one of the ones that was in the car that they found. that
Oh,
was in the
boy.
water with the vehicle that when he drowned. And we were actually out on the dock, and we were using the SLS photo thing that makes the images. I don't know if you're
Right.
familiar with that part of the SLS, but we wanted to say, if this is you, show a picture. Well, the thing drew a picture on my phone, and she pulled up a picture on her phone of his Facebook, which she has access to, and the pictures almost look identical in some ways.
Wow.
And I thought that was the strangest thing that ever happened with that. So we're definitely going to go back out there. And even at the time we were out there kind of doing a pre-investigation because we were curious what was going on out there. And like I said, they just pulled out that car out of the water there, and she knew it was her friend, but we wanted to come up with answers and try to give her a little bit of closure as well.
Right.
But his former girlfriend, she knew who she was. And when we were sitting there kind of doing our little pre-investigation, she actually showed up and was sitting on the dock that day we were there. So we thought that was strange as well. But we will definitely be doing that. And also, like I said, we'll be going back to the Steel Dam, where we come up with names of people that was in the obituary that are still alive. And we had no clue they were even in the obituary until we started looking up the names. So that was something interesting. We're going to go back and see if we can't get more from there. That's one thing. I'm also going to the Paranormal Rock Down in July at Broadhead Manor. You can find that on the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal page, all the info. I fly it all the time, and at the end of my shows, I fly up for them all the time. I'm definitely going there and visit with everybody at the Rock Down. And everything else, what comes up, I will take. So
Fantastic. So you got yourself a full schedule. That's great.
so far. So
Yeah,
far.
I'm still working on mine. I still got to put those feelers out. I'd like to get more people from across the pond to pop in so we can experience some, other things than what we're used to. All the other guys have done already. I'd like to get some new stuff out, new experiences out.
Yeah.
But I mean, anybody's always welcome on here. And I've enjoyed having you on, Shawn. You've just been a well of information, and you are welcome back anytime you'd like. Just let me
Well,
know.
thank you.
Any
And
other
thank you for
questions?
having me.
Any other questions, guys? Before we let Shawn escape.
Well, like
Get
I
him
said, you
out
can find me
there.
every Sunday night. You can find me every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook under the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. So
There you go, guys. That's where he is. Let's see. There are so many places I want to check out. Yeah, everybody has a lot of things going on. What is it? Oh, you're full of shit, Bill. He never gets to go on. Bill's my wingman. When I run short, I have Bill on. But yeah, you guys know where to find him. Go check him out. Please remember to subscribe, like his stuff. It helps out our channels a great deal. Same thing here. Please like and share if you can. Help me out. I appreciate it. And if you're feeling generous, you can donate to my channel. All stuff goes back into the channel, and I would appreciate it a great deal. The link is at the top of the chat, guys. And until next time, everybody have a great rest of the week. And thank you for joining us on the Raw Side.
have a good one, everyone.